Welcome to the Water Trough, where we can't make you drink, but we will make you think. My name is Ed Drozd, the Small Business Doctor, and I'm really excited you chose to join me here as we discuss topics that are important for small business folks just like you. If you're looking for ideas, inspiration, and possibility, you've come to the right place. Join us as we take steps to help you create the healthy business that you've always wanted. Hi, welcome back to the Water Trough. This is Ed Drozd, the Small Business Doctor. Happy Friday. I usually am accustomed to putting these posts out on midweek days, but got caught up on a few things this week and running behind. But here we are. Friday it is, and how exciting for me. Actually celebrating my 35th wedding anniversary on Sunday, so this is quite a nice weekend coming up. Going to be getting out of town and looking forward to that as well. So then, a couple things on my mind today, but primarily what I want to talk about is the idea of promotions, that is, moving your employees from a position of subordination, one who is reporting to someone else, into a managerial position. And most specifically, I'd like to address the people who are being moved into these positions for the very first time. Now, everybody knows that one of the things that we look for when we take a position is upward mobility. And we think of upward mobility as being promoted, particularly into a position of greater and greater authority. All right, that makes sense. More money, more prestige, greater opportunities down the road. Sure, this is one of the things that we look forward to when we take on a position. And most of us anticipate that that's exactly what we're going to do. Certainly for some, it's fine to stay where they're at, and they don't seek to be in a position where they're going to be moving up the ranks, and that's perfectly fine as well. But there's a couple things that have to be taken into consideration. And I think one of the first things that employers fail to recognize is that those of us who are really good at our job, the job we were hired to do, let's say the technical experts, for example, we may not be the best equipped to work in a managerial role. I might be great at manufacturing the widgets. I might be great at following directions and great at being able to interpret issues and resolve problems before they get out of hand. But that doesn't mean I can necessarily work well in the position of managing others. Now, getting back to my basic definition of management is getting things done through people effectively and efficiently. Getting things done through people effectively and efficiently. As a technical expert, I'm responsible for what I do. I'm capable of doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm both effective and efficient at my job. But that does not necessarily translate into working with others to accomplish the same things. One of the things that employers seek to do, naturally, is to bolster the enthusiasm to develop the motivation of their employees by making promotions a possibility. Surely they have the right intentions. Promoting people, increasing and motivation is very important. However, promoting an individual who is not suited for a managerial role is not going to lead to long-term motivation. The new manager will become frustrated in this role if they're not equipped to do this. Their employees will become frustrated because they don't know how to follow or how to work with this new boss. And so what might sound like a great plan for the organization, what sounds like a really good idea, that is to give upward mobility opportunity, can turn into a real debacle for a company. And this is something that people often don't take into consideration. I think what happens here is that we tend to lose sight of the need to prepare people for these roles. We're hiring people, but what kind of expectations they might be looking towards. So, for example, I'm hired for a job, and I ask, what kind of upward opportunities are there? An employer might say to me, we do promote from within to the extent that we can. However, we have a certain set of guidelines that we employ. We offer training for people who are identified as potential candidates for promotion. We offer more in-depth review of their skills, and we help them to establish whether or not they are suitable for these opportunities. If an employer simply says promotions are a fact of life, they're guaranteed, then the expectation of the new hire is, I certainly will be promoted as well, whether or not I'm suited for such an opportunity. Managers are not born that way. Managers are developed. And so the employer has to take on an active role in helping to nurture the prospective manager, to help them become adept at understanding what it will take to be a manager. Simply promoting me to the position of a manager is not going to be enough. It sounds great on the outside, but the truth be told, if I'm not equipped to do it, disaster await. Let's consider the other side of the coin here, and that's the perspective of the employee. Now, once again, employees may be seeking the opportunity to grow in their position, and for those that seek this, that is certainly a good indication of what kind of employees they will be. But the employees must also have realistic expectations about what they're capable of doing. Just because I want to be the boss doesn't mean that's the best thing for me. And just because I don't have the skills necessary to be the boss doesn't mean I can't learn them and develop those skills. But what is important is that the employee, with the aid of the employer, is able to develop realistic expectations. So as I mentioned earlier, an employer who provides training and support for prospective managers is one that's giving people an opportunity to try out the role, to attempt to utilize the skills that are necessary and see what kind of fit it might be for them. But for the employee themselves, if they have the expectation that come what may, I will be promoted, that I'm good enough to be promoted, it oftentimes will lead to significant disappointment. Because the truth is, and we all know this, working in a subordinate role where we are the masters of our work, where we are the ones in charge of those things that we do, is totally different than overseeing that which other people do. They are not in any way the same sort of situation. And so, not having had the experience, an employee who has not yet had their first managerial experience is going to benefit from having realistic expectations. This is something that you can encourage in the employees that you bring to your organization as well. Remind them that promotion is important. Remind them that their services, no matter what level of the organization they achieve to be part of or become a part of, they are important. But let it be known that expectations can only be achieved if the effort is put in. So let's recap here what we're talking about. We've all been in a position where we had the opportunity to go into a new job. And one of the things that we're looking for, of course, is a good work environment, a good working opportunity. And at the same time, at least in the back of our minds, many of us, if not most of us, are thinking to ourselves, what will I be able to do next? If I do a good job, will I be rewarded with a promotion? And in most cases, that promotion is going to require or going to include moving up into some kind of managerial opportunity. And so employers have to take an active role in making it clear what the expectations are for those that will become managers. Employers have to be very clear on what one can expect to have to do to be able to earn that opportunity and, whenever possible, to provide the training and support for those people to get there. Again, acknowledging that those who've not been managers before simply don't have the experience, and they will benefit from the training and the opportunity to learn what is necessary to be successful in those roles. For the employee, it is again important to be able to have open discussions with the prospective employer and the new employer to talk about what opportunity looks like, what it would take to get there, and what kind of work I can do to achieve that. The expectation that a promotion is a blanket thing, that if I do a really great job, I'm going to be promoted, is quite frankly unrealistic. Now, the employer might promulgate that's the way it's going to work. If they do, I have to tell you honestly, they're not playing the right game. You, the employee, has to take it upon yourself to identify what it will take for you to achieve those necessary skills, to tame down your expectations and align them with your capability. And you, the employer, must be very clear about what it takes to be successful in those roles. I wish you well with the opportunities out there. I'm sure that many of you are promoting people all the time, and I certainly hope it's a successful project for you. And if not, I ask you to reach out and we can chat about it further. In the meantime, this is Ed Drozd, the Small Business Doctor, and I want to wish you a healthy business.